Hey everybody, I want to explain in a field why multiplying with 0 is always equal to 0. So if A is any element in my field, I want to explain why 0 times A is equal to 0. This might sound a little silly, right? We know in the real numbers that if you multiply by 0, you always get 0. We know that in the complex numbers or the rationals, that's true. Even in z mod pz, where p is prime, we know that multiplying by 0 gives you 0. But there's other fields, besides just the reals, the rationals, the complexes, and the integers z mod pz. For example, if you take a power of a prime, so like 3 is prime, so 3 to the 4th power is a power of a prime, you always have a field that's, the size of that field is whatever prime power you want. So take any prime number, raise it to any power, you always have a field of that size, even though that takes a little bit more care to construct. So, and then we have many other different, infinite fields with an infinite number of elements. So it's not always, it's not obvious that just from the axioms, 0 times something always should equal 0. But we're going to use the axioms to prove that no matter what field you consider, that always has to be the case. Okay. So let's think about this. We're looking at 0 times A. Pretty much all we know about 0 is it's the additive identity. So anything combined with 0 under addition is that thing. So one way to write 0 is just 0 plus 0. Okay, so this step here is, since 0 is the additive identity. Okay, seems silly, but what's nice is now we can use the distributive property. Two things added together times a third thing is just, the first times the third plus the second times the third. So 0 plus 0 times A is just 0 times A plus 0 times A. Am I getting anywhere? I don't know. On the left, I sort of have one copy of 0 times A, whereas on the right, I have 2. Okay, so think of this as almost like I have x is equal to x plus x. That's going to imply that x equals 0. If I wanted to be super explicit about this, and I suppose I will, 0 times A is an element of my field. 0 is also the additive identity, so I can add 0 to anything and not change it. Okay, so I've rewritten 0 times A just as 0 times A plus 0. And now we can apply cancellation. Right? Whenever you have A combined with B is equal to A combined with C, that means B equals C. I shouldn't use the letter A here. Whenever you have X combined with Y is equal to X combined with Z, then Y is equal to Z. So we apply cancellation to see that what's left on the left side is equal to what's left on the right side. Okay, so what have we done? We've used the distributive property. We've used the fact that 0 is the identity. And that's mostly it. And we used the cancellation law from group theory. But remember, we are an abelian group under addition whenever we're in a field. To see that the reason why 0 times A in any field is equal to 0 is because 0 times A you could write as 0 plus 0 times A. Use the distributive property to see that this is 0 times A plus 0 times A. Okay, and then at that point, you have one copy of 0 times A is equal to the sum of 2 copies, And you could use cancellation to get that the identity, the additive identity 0 is equal to 0 times A. Questions on that? Thanks.